Well, hello, beautiful planty people, and how are you doing today? I hope you are great. I hope you're fabulous. I am fabulous. The boys are back in school for the first time today, and since the whole pandemic situation, and I'm really actually looking forward to picking them up from school and finding out how their first day went. They haven't seen some of their friends since the whole thing began, and they were actually really looking forward to going to school this morning. I don't know how long that's gonna last, because, you know, they're kids and it's school. But anyways, hello, hi, welcome. For those of you who are new, my name is Nikki. This is my channel, Plants, Pots, and Whatnots. And for you gluttons for punishment who keep coming back for more, thank you so much. I appreciate all of you, everyone, for hanging out with me and spending your time with me. You know, everybody's time is valuable, and the fact that you chose to spend however long I tend to ramble for with me, just know that it is most definitely appreciated, and it just means a lot to me. So, what are we doing today? What are we doing today? Okay, so we're just doing a whole bunch of things today. I have just a bunch of like random plant things to do. So I have to build like a little mini moss pole for my Brandtianum. Like, I'm talking mini. Like, I'm gonna try to make a little moss pole from a chopstick. I don't know how it's gonna work. I don't know how it's gonna go, but we're gonna try, because, you know, I like to try things. I also want to try to put an extension on one of my moss poles. So my Philodendron Melanochrysum varicosum is getting a little cray-cray. And she's just growing way off the top, and I'm afraid it's going to bend over and break. So I'm going to try to put an extension on it. I've never done that before, so I figured we can all laugh at me together. So that sounds like fun. Anyway, I just have like a bunch of little things to do, so I thought you could just hang out. It'll be like totally chill. We'll just hang out. Yeah, okay. Anyway, so if that sounds like something that you would like to do, then please come back and hang out while we do a chill plant thing video. I hope you're gonna be able to see all this. So we're gonna start out with the little mini moss pole for my Brandtianum. And the reason that I want to put it on a moss pole is the leaves are getting really, really small. Now, I know that it's a baby plant, but I'm gonna try, because I know that most aroids, if you put them on a pole, it makes them kind of feel like they're more in their own environment, and it tends to give you larger leaves. And so that's the theory that I'm running with this guy and his new little teeny tiny leaves. So we are going to take some chopsticks. So that should be about the right size after it gets put down into the soil. And we're just gonna give it a shot, because why not? So I've got my chopsticks, I have my plant, I have my jute, and I have my spag moss and scissors. So let's set him aside for now. And let's open our chopsticks. I always keep all of our chopsticks, but they always send like a lot extra. So I keep them because they're so handy for so many different things. You can use them to aerate soil. You can use them for moss poles. You can use them just as like a support for a plant that might be a little floppy. I mean, they have a ton of uses, and why not use something that you may already have that you were probably just going to throw out anyway. I have a lot of things around the house that have like a dual purpose, or or have a singular purpose, and I end up using them for something else. So I'm going to go ahead and change camera angles here, and then you can just watch me try to muffle my way through this. Wish me luck. Okay. I have my chopsticks, so I think the theory is I'm just going to do this the same way I would do a large moss pole. So I'm going to grab some of my jute first. Now, normally for something this small, I would use my smaller jute. I have like a thinner gauge, but I don't have any left, so this stuff is going to have to do. So I want it maybe about 2 feet long. We'll get rid of that because it's noisy. Alright, so normally what I do to make a larger moss pole, or how I used to do it, I don't do it this way anymore. I have some new materials, and I'm just going to use some of my jute. So I'm going to grab some of my jute first. Now, normally for something this small, I would use my smaller jute. I have like a thinner gauge, but I don't have any left, so this stuff is going to have to do. So I want it maybe about 2 feet long. We'll get rid of that because it's noisy. Alright, so normally what I do to make a larger moss pole, or how I used to do it, I don't do it this way anymore. I have some new materials, and you'll see that at some point. Okay, so we want that to be down, so that's probably good. It doesn't need to be too far down the soil because there's really not going to be a whole lot of weight on it. It's not like if you are making like a big a moss pole for a big plant. And then I just throw a little bit extra on the top so that we've got some nice coverage on both sides. This is gonna be the cutest moss pole ever. Okay, so then I take my jute, where is that? And I'm gonna go ahead and just tie this on the bottom. You just tie it with a regular knot. Now with this stuff, it tends to be a little slippy, so I usually tie 2 knots in it just to make sure that it doesn't go anywhere, and I tie it quite tight. There we go. Okay. So it'll be interesting to see if this is easier or harder because it's smaller. So then what I do is I just kind of, oh, you can't even see it from that angle. Okay, I'll try to turn it. There we go. So what I kind of do is I sort of pick it up with the moss and just simply wrap it around. And because this is long fiber sphagnum moss, it tends to hold even if you have like gaps. Okay, there we go. And I'm just, this one doesn't have to be pretty because it's not going to last that long. Normally I would probably put a little bit more effort in. And then I'm just going to tie it off down here at the end. I just wound it up once and then back down around. So like I said before, normally I would tie these in some pretty crazy knots, but this one's going to be super small for a small plant, so there's not going to be a whole lot of weight on it, and it's not very tall. So that's probably completely fine. Okay. Now let me grab a little piece of my plant tie and clean this up, and then we'll go ahead and attach them. Okay, so because this guy's really tiny, I'll show you what I do when I'm working with smaller plants, when I'm trellising Hoyas or like really like small begonias or things like that. This tends to be a little thick and I think it looks a little bulky. So what I do, won't need 2 pieces, is I just take these and cut them right down the middle so they're a little bit more fine. They still have the same effect, but it just doesn't look as bulky. Okay, and then this is another thing about this stuff. This is why I rave about it. So not only can you reuse these pieces and cut them to whatever length you want, but you can also cut them in half and make smaller ones. So let's go ahead and get this pole in here. See where we want it. I think probably right about there is good. What do you think? Do you think this is gonna work? Okay, and then you just wrap that around there and then attach it. And then it looks a little less bulky. You see what I'm saying? Rather than having this big honkin' flat piece. It's a small plant, so you don't want anything like too crazy. And then we'll go ahead and put, I think I'm gonna put it under that leaf though. Okay. It's so tiny. It's so much harder to work with little plants, but it's so cute. Okay, so there we go. There is the little Brandtianum on its little chopstick moss pole. I think it turned out pretty good. So I'm gonna go ahead and actually this plant is a little bit dry, so I'm gonna go ahead and give him some water, put him back on the shelf, and then we will move along to our next plant chore, which I think is going to be chopping up my Campo Partuanum. We're just gonna call it a campo, okay? Because I think that's easier. All right, so let me get this put on the shelf and then I will be right back. Okay, see, wasn't that easy peasy? I love that. So that's basically I just thought of this after the fact. That's basically how I make, or is a really easy way to make your moss poles. Only obviously that was a smaller scale. But it's really, really simple to do. And I'll probably do a video where I show you how to make the different moss poles that I have made, and then you guys kind of just decide whatever works for you. I found a new way of making them, which I'm excited about because it works really well and it's easy. So anyway, that's a story for another day. So this is the next project that I have to work on. So if you saw my huge plant haul video, this you will know that this is a Philodendron Brandtianum or a Philodendron campo, which most people call them because the name is honestly just ridiculously too long. So what I'm going to do, because this thing is quite leggy and it just looks a little odd, so I'm going to cut it into a couple nodes. I'm going to throw in spag moss like I do. I'm going to put it in my spag bags, put it in my greenhouse, and then yeah, try to fix this guy because he's a little lanky. So this is pretty simple. It's not complicated, so I'm just gonna do it. I'm just gonna talk while I do it. And I've shown you how I do this before anyway, I think, so it's not that big of a deal. So here's the top node. There's a leaf coming out here, so I don't want to cut here because there's really not, I don't want to, like, I just don't want to mess with this. So I am going to take it below this node, and I'm going to take it right between these two so that I don't damage the auxiliary node here. So I want it right in between, but then you want a little bit of space between this node and the end where it might get a little bit like a little bit waterlogged, or if you potentially do get some rot, there's a lot further between the cut and the node in order for you to stop it before the rot gets to the node, if that makes any sense. I think I made sense. You know what I mean, right? So I'm going to cut it right there. So there's cutting number one. This one is going to be a wet stick node. So I'm going to cut that one right there. And then I'm also going to take this one, and it has a little leaf on it. Let me get that out of there. I just had that propping it up. And then I'm going to take this one probably right about there. I don't need this big extra piece on, so I'm just going to cut that off. So this is our original plant, so we'll just go ahead and leave him as is. And what I may actually do is take some of my cloning paste, put a little bit on that auxiliary bud, and then hopefully that will speed up the process of the new growth coming out. So let's go ahead and set that one aside because we don't, I'm just dropping things. I'm just dropping them. So we have these three, you can't see that. Hold on. Okay, a little better. So we have these three nodes here. And I know that they all go this way. Okay. So I've got, again, my moss. So the way I do that is like super, super easy. This one I want to try to be careful not to damage this leaf because it's basically the only pretty one that we have. So I'm just going to gently wrap some moss around the node on the bottom here. Okay, and then I'm going to take my little cup, plop it in there. There we go. So there is campo cutting number one. I hate these big long sticks. It's like hay or something, or straw. Go away. Okay. So there's one. So next we'll do our little wet stick here. And we're just going to wrap it right around. You want it kind of loose in this one because, not super loose, but we want to make sure that there's enough space for that new growth point to activate. We don't want it buried too much, if that makes sense. Does that make sense? Okay, and then I'm just gonna plop him down in there. There we go. Just gonna put a little bit extra on the one side here. There. Campo cutting number 2. And then here's our last one with this cutesy little leaf. And same situation. Wrap them up. Plunk them in there. Where is that node? What the heck? There it is. Okay, sorry. Got them a little too deep. I like to be able to see the top a little bit to where you can almost see the node. Again, for the same reasoning, so that that new growth point doesn't have to like strain too hard to reach the light. So there is our third one. So that's that guy. We're going to take our little bag here. We're going to jack up the humidity. There we go. What I've started doing, so these are the Ziploc bags that I use. What I've started doing is writing the name and the date that I cut them on. So I'm going to grab my Sharpie and do that. Okay, here we go. We're just going to write, oh, come on, let's go Sharpie. Campo, and then 9, what is today? 14th, holy crap. 9, 14, 20. Once you start getting a lot of cuttings, and I've learned this, you start kind of losing track of what's what, when it was cut. Now I do have the help, or the, what am I talking about? It is nice because I do film a lot of these things, so I do have a little bit more of a timeline. I can kind of go back and be like, oh, when did I get that? And then just scroll back in my videos, but obviously not everybody can do that. And I don't film every propagation that I do, or every unboxing that I do, or whatever. So it is really nice to kind of have the dates on things, just so that you know what's going on. Do you know what I'm saying? I forgot to write pH. Not that I won't know that it's philodendron, but anyway. Okay, so there's that one. It's all set to go, and I'm just gonna put this guy in a smaller bag, because actually I think that's my last bag, hopefully. That's just gonna be tall enough. I have to order some more of the large and extra large. These ones, this one right here is a medium, and it's really small. That makes me uncomfortable. Yeah, that's not gonna fit. No way. Oh, I do have one more of them. Hold on. Oh, I'm gonna wreck that leaf before I even... Stressful. Okay, I do have this one, so let's just go ahead and put them in this one. I do like to double them up in this size bags, the large ones, because, I mean, space saving or whatever, but it is what it is. Okay, there he is. I probably got a little bit too much air in there, but that's okay. Okay. Philo, Campo, 9, 14, 20. There we go. Okay, so there is our 2 Campos Brandtianum cuttings. So I'll go ahead and pop those in the greenhouse. I'm gonna put that guy back on the shelf, and then we will mosey along to our next chore. I will be right back. Okay, so the next thing I want to do is So initially I thought that maybe I was just going to extend the moss pole on this Varicosum Melanochrysum. However, this bottom part is pretty sparse. These are the original leaves that it came with. They're not looking the greatest. So I think what I'd like to do is, I think I'm just going to chop it. I think I'm just going to chop the top off, take the top cutting, and then cut all of these other nodes into individual plants. Sounds crazy, doesn't it? It does a little bit. It does a little bit. But the top is looking really nice. The leaves are getting nice and big. So I don't want to stunt the growth of those leaves. So I think what I'm going to do is actually air layer it first. Because what'll happen then, if you air layer it so it grows nice strong roots and then cut it, it's more likely that you're going to maintain the larger leaves. If you cut it and then root it first, you're not going to have enough roots to sustain larger leaves. So I think that's what we're going to do. I think we're just going to go ahead and air layer this guy. And then in a few weeks, when there's lots of nice, lovely, chunky roots, then we'll go ahead and cut it, plant it up on its own, and then we'll chop the rest of this plant down. As much as I totally just want to chop it today, it's a problem, you know what? Like, I didn't want to cut anything last year, and now that I've started cutting my plants, like, I just want to do it all. It's a disease. Okay. All right, so that's what we're gonna do. So I'm gonna try to figure out how to get this camera at a good angle where you can watch me do this. Yeah, and then we'll go ahead and just wrap her up. So let's go ahead and start that. Okay, I'm hoping this angle is gonna be okay. The lighting was weird. It was hard to get like my softbox and everything where I needed it. But I think you can see this is the part right here where I'm gonna put the air layer. So the first thing I wanna do is just loosen this top part up a little bit. Oh, thanks. That's so nice. If I can find, there we go. Okay, I just want it to have a little bit of slack so I can fit the air layer in and around there. But I don't want it loose enough that it's going to fall over, which may be difficult at this point. Okay. You can just hang there for a minute. Let's all just pray it doesn't like bend over and break altogether, because in that case we'll be cutting it. That's pretty heavy. I might have to just chop it. What do you guys think? Should I just chop it? I'm really impatient. No, let's do it properly, Nikki. Let's air layer it. So what do I need? I've got my moss. I need saran wrap. Okay, got my saran wrap. Got my moss. Hopefully you can see this okay. Yeah, so here's where I'm gonna put the air layer. So I grab my saran wrap and I'm just going to put a handful of moss right there. I think that might be too much. Okay. I'm gonna have to turn it a little bit. Hopefully you guys will be able to see okay. I might have to just take it off here altogether. Let's try it this way first. Okay, so you just want to wrap it so that the whole node is covered, just to keep all the moisture in there. I'm sorry that it's going really dark. I'm doing the best that I can. I like to leave a little opening at the top so that I can squeeze water down there. I use my little handy dandy water bottle that I use for absolutely everything. And please don't break. there we go. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and retighten up this top before we lose the whole plant. And then when I can concentrate, I will explain everything else. Oh man, that top is so top heavy. There we go. Okay, so now that I'm not stressed about breaking it, so I tighten everything up as much as I can, and then I leave the top open just a little bit to allow me to stick my little squeezy water bottle, and then I can just kind of stick it right down in there, see, and then just squeeze the water in. So much easier than having to worry about unwrapping it, re-wetting your moss, and all that kind of jam. So that's what we do. So there we go, she's all set. Now in a couple weeks, you'll eventually start to see like the roots in here. Speaking of air layering, I don't know if you guys remember, I think I told you guys I did. I air layered my pink princess. I think I did it in a video. So the way my pink princess was sitting, it wasn't like right, the air layer wasn't like a super visual. It's not something I saw every day. So I was moving some plants around last night, and then I saw this. So I spent an hour-ish last night trying to undo roots. Cody, I had posted on Instagram, and my friend Cody messaged me, and he's like, oh, you have a pot bound halfway up your plant or something like that. And I was like, or root bound halfway up. I'm like, yeah. So that was a challenge. So I will make sure that I am on top of it. This one I'm really eager to get propagated anyway and snipped. This top piece is really making me nervous because of how it hangs. See if you can see it. Like, she's hanging. So hopefully it roots quickly, and then we can snip it, get her in her own pot, and then we will have fun at chopping up all these other nodes. So I think that's what we're going to do with her today. I think that's all I'm going to do with her today, and then we don't have to worry about doing the moss pole extension right now. Okay, I'm going to very gently go put her back, and I'll be back with you. Okay, so I think while I'm at it, I'm going to cut this guy. There's two separate stalks, or two separate plants in here, and they're both quite bare on the bottom. And this stem is getting quite thick. So what I think I'm gonna do is I'm gonna snip it. I'm just gonna go ahead and cut it. I'm not gonna bother air layering it. And because these tend to root really, really well, at least in my experience, I have never had a problem rooting these. So I'm gonna go ahead and cut it. And then I'm literally going to chop the rest of the plant into nodes. I know that sounds crazy, but I'm crazy. What can I say? Okay. I'm losing my voice. That's bad, right? All right, so let me turn him so you can see what I'm doing. All right, hang on one sec. Okay. Now, let's see. Trying to get like where there's decent. There's something on my lens. There we go. Okay. Now where, I think I'm gonna cut right where this is here. Because that's where the leaves are starting to look nice and healthy and oh, fuzzy. All right, I'm gonna undo this piece because that's right where I wanna cut. Are you ready? And take that off so I can see a little better. Can you see that? You can see where I'm cutting? Say a little prayer for you. Okay. So, now we can unwrap him. There we go. Oh, she tried to ruin it up. So there is the beautiful cutting. So this is going to be one of those scenarios where this will be my kind of my personal collection plant or my display plant. And then I'm going to cut all these up, and I don't know what I'm going to do with them. I don't know, I may sell them. I may put a couple in the same pot, so it's this really big full pot. I don't know what I'm going to do. So let's go ahead. I'll bring you back down here because now it's tall enough that you can see what's going on. Oh, my neighbor's going to mow his lawn. That's good timing. Thanks. And apparently I'm going to shut my patio door. And then, yeah, and then we'll go ahead and chop up the rest if I can find enough pots or space in my greenhouse. That could be a challenge. Okay, I know you can't see this whole plant, but I'm just gonna go ahead and cut it down. I'll probably leave, I don't know, we'll just see. First things first, I'm gonna chop this top part off. You see what I mean? Like, it's very spindly and then there's like nothing. So I'm gonna take it, I think I'm gonna leave this one leaf on. It's not the greatest, but it will still help the plant. So there we go. And then we'll just pin him back up there. He's gonna look pretty sad for a bit, but it's a necessary evil, you know? Okay, so then there's this plant on the other side. And you know what? I think I'm just gonna leave him alone for now. Give him a little bit of water. Okay, so this one I can probably, there's no new growth point on this, which is, oh, because I just cut it off. Woo! Alright, so I'm just going to cut this into nodes because each node has a leaf, so we'll go ahead and make a cut right there. Right there. And right there. Okay, so there's 4 new little varicosum babies. So we will go ahead and get them into pots. I think I'm going to put them in the tall ones. I can probably do 2 per pot. So I'm thinking out loud right now. Hold on. I think this is what I'm gonna use. These are great. These are like, you know when you go to like independent, or I don't know what you guys have in other parts of the world, but a grocery store, and then they have those like pre-made salads that they'll, you know, that are in like the, you guys know what I mean. Anyway, so these are great. We keep them all, wash them out, and they're wonderful for propagating. So I think I'm just gonna do 2 per container. So I'll get one with some moss on it here. You see it okay? And then I'll just put them kind of back to back like that. And then we're gonna plop her down in there. And it really just is that simple. So there is the first one. So there's 2 different plants in there. And then we will do the second one. And go ahead and plop them down in there. And there we go. There's the second one. So there are our 4 brand new varicosum plants. Easy peasy. So I have a feeling, this video is getting pretty long. So I'm gonna go ahead and just wrap it up there. You guys don't need to see me water. Not that you don't need me to. You probably don't want me to. So I think I'll just leave it as is for now. And then, yeah, I will let you guys go and get back to your regularly scheduled programming, whatever that was that you were doing. Okay, shut up, Nikki. So anyways, thank you guys so much for watching this. I know it was a little bit all over the place, and I know some of the angles and the lighting were kind of crappy, but you know what? It is what it is. So, I would like to thank all of you guys for liking, watching, commenting, and subscribing. If you haven't subscribed already, please consider doing so. It is a huge help to my channel. We are creeping up on 5K, and I'm really excited. I've got some things in the works that I'm hoping to roll out for 5,000 subscribers. And yeah, so maybe you can consider just hitting the button and helping me out a little bit. Anyway, I would really appreciate it. I love hanging out with you guys. And again, like I said before, I really appreciate you spending your time with me. Everybody's time is so precious, and it matters to me that you sit here and watch. So having said that, I would like all of you to have a great and wonderful, fantastic day, night, week, month, and year. I love you all the bitty bits, and I will see you in the next one. Mwah! What am I gonna do with all these? You weren't supposed to cut these. That was not the deal. I wonder if I should tell Jordan tonight that I need a new greenhouse.